They say a picture says 1,000 words and a visual probably 1,000,000 words. So tonight, to set up the urban debate, we have decided to explain the story of Delhi's day of misery today through 6 especially curated visuals. First, the sheer horror of what happened at the airport this morning. A portion of the canopy of Terminal 1's departure lounge comes crashing down, buckling under turbulent winds and incessant rains. 4 vehicles are buried under the debris, with 1 dead and 8 injured. As a result, departures at Terminal 1 are shut down. Indigo and SpiceJet, the 2 carriers who operate out of the terminal, cancel their flights at least till midnight. And as a cascading effect, because this is, of course, Delhi we are speaking about, 1,400 flights across the country are disrupted. Now, the government's response has been that this part of the terminal was inaugurated in 2009 under the UPA government. For a second, let's buy that argument and forget the issues of maintenance and responsibility. Let's then have a look at these visuals on your screen. The Pragati Maidan underpass. This was inaugurated by the Prime Minister, and very recently at that, and it was constructed at the cost of 777 crores. This was the condition today. Need I really see any more? Today, Delhi has been disgraced because its most iconic landmarks, the jewels in its crown when it comes to infrastructure, was submerged in dirty, stinky, unhygienic, toxic drain water. This image is from the Ames flyover region, one of the most posh and iconic areas of South Delhi. We are not even talking of outskirts of Delhi, we are talking about South Delhi. The traffic today was such a nightmare that a commute which would have otherwise taken you 30 minutes took hours today. Think of all the time lost in productivity today. And while the rich and the middle class such as us just have to deal with traffic force and productivity at the workplace, the poor have to literally fight for their lives. As we speak, 3 laborers are feared trapped after an under construction wall collapsed in southwest Delhi's Vasant Vihar area. Now, rescue teams of the NDRF, the DDMA, civic agencies, fire and police are on the spot. We'll keep getting you updates when we get them. Our final 2 visuals of this day are symbolic of how our politicians mock up plight. Here's Samajwadi Party MP Ram Gopal Yadav being lifted up by his staff to his car. After all, how could a Netaji get his shoes wet in the waterlogging? So he gets his minions to lift him up like he's a colonial overlord and take him to the car. You can in fact even hear it in the video. Someone says, "Arey video mat leo yaar." This is how they treat us, and this is how they look down upon us. And if they aren't directly mocking our position, they're mocking our angst by dramatizing it and reducing it to irrelevance. Look at this gentleman, Ravinder Singh Negi, BJP councillor, protesting against collapsing infrastructure by rowing an inflatable boat in the flood. He got his 15 minutes of fame today, especially on X. He also got his sound bites through media channels. He could have, of course, helped out people affected in his ward. But why would he? He could make a political statement like this and become known within his party so that maybe next time he'll get an MLA ticket. So they'll crush you under the weight of the negligence. They'll waste your hard-earned money and do nothing while your homes are flooded and put your lives at risk. They will use you as stepping stones like Ram Gopal Yadav, quite literally as stepping stones, or will mock you with the drama as we saw with the BJP councillor. We have a very simple question today on the urban debate, ladies and gentlemen. Don't we as Delhiwalas, and in fact, it's across the country because Delhi has among the better infrastructures. If you thought Delhi couldn't handle it, wait till something similar happens in Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai or Kolkata. Don't we simply deserve better? I'm going to put that across to my guest joining me at this point. Harish Khurana, spokesperson of the BJP, Sujata Paul, spokesperson of the Congress, Parvinder Singh, political analyst, represents the Aam Aadmi Party in thoughts and beliefs, and of course, Umesh Sehgal, former Chief Secretary of Delhi. I'll come to Harish Khurana first. Sir, the Indira Gandhi Airport was seen as one of India's crown, jewel in India's crown. It's an airport that has got a lot of awards for great infrastructure, but today the reality came down. So all of us have gone to that airport to drop off our loved ones, to be dropped off ourselves, to catch a flight. What if that canopy would have come down on us today, sir?
See, first of all, before I comment on any issue, but I want to through your channel, my party and me want to condole for the person who has received their life My heartfelt condolences to the whole family today. Point number one. See, we should understand why it has happened. It has been made in 2009.
Hmm.
And yes, the inquiry has been already been conducted now. And I assure you through your channel, whoever the culprit will be, who will be responsible will be not be spared at all. That is for sure. Inquiry has been generated. We should wait for that inquiry, and whoever will be, he'll be rolled down. That is for sure. But I want to point out the kind of politics has happened on this. Immediately after the incidents, within minutes,
Hmm.
Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge ji, what he said, he did a self goal, but he was pointing that it is an act of corruption on the Modi government. But he failed to tell the people the actual fact is that this T1 construction was made in 2009. So we should understand that we should know what the actual fact is. As I told you before, it will not be spared.
Harish Khurana, the first thing is, I think, yes, you said that the guilty will not be spared. The statement coming in from the Delhi International Airport Limited seems to have already found who's guilty, and that is the weather gods. Unprecedented rain coming in and unprecedented wind speed, which is why the canopy collapsed, as if
No,
it is
no, no,
absolutely
no,
normal for
no,
something
no,
to
no,
do.
no, 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 no,
Anyway,
no.
even if the
I mean, no,
longer
no, no,
debate,
I'll
that's
comment
what
on
the
that.
initial statement said. They
I'll
have
comment on
set
that.
up a probe.
I'll comment on that. I mean, that already dial has been clarified that we have not done this kind of statement. Let me clarify this. This statement, Aam Aadmi Party de sakta hai. We should not. We are not. I mean, dial is not giving the statement. Let the inquiry should be conducted, and whoever will be, whether
Okay,
it's dial, whether it's
let's
GMR,
talk
whether it's a
about the statement
contractor.
जो आपकी पार्टी ने दिया फिर.
Sorry.
Okay, let's talk about the statement आपके
So
पार्टी ने दिया है.
why is this cracking actually?
What happened, even if this airport, this particular terminal was constructed in 2009, for the past 10 years the maintenance of this airport and the responsibility comes under the government which is in power, right, sir? In Terminal 1 has seen a massive upgradation and a massive rehaul very recently. I'm sure there must have been some audits which were doing out while trying to look at where Terminal 1 can be revamped and rehauled. And some should have pointed out that, okay, this structure is 15 years old, it's perhaps not safe, it's perhaps not ready to take the weight of a wind speed or incessant rainfall. But instead, the first statement which comes out from the BJP is that no, this was made in 2009. Tomorrow, if a portion of the Taj Mahal comes down, will you blame Shah Jahan for constructing it, sir?
No, I'll tell you why we are giving this kind of statement. It was started by Mallikarjun Kharge, who said in within three months it has been collapsed, telling the lie to the whole country that the actual fact is the building which was being inaugurated by Modi ji is still very much intact. The building which has been collapsed is been made in 2009. We have to state that because Mallikarjun Kharge and the whole opposition came after life of and told the lie to the whole country. We only said because 2009. The fact is this has been constructed in 2009 after Kharge ji has said this.
But sir, it doesn't matter when it was constructed. The maintenance is under the government of power. Fine, you
Sir,
could have just
that's
said
the reason I
that,
said no
just
inquiry
as a
will be conducted.
clarification, this has
My
happened.
dear
Sir,
friend,
look at the statement which your party spokesperson have come out with. I don't know. I want to go to my other guest, Mr. Khurana, but just if I could just say, look at the statement which Mr. Amit Malviya has put out. He has said Super PM Sonia Gandhi should answer. It's not a simple clarification which came out in response. The attempt was very clearly to deflect blame onto the UPA. But however, I get your point also, and the Congress also maybe cannot accept shirk responsibility, which is why let me get in Sujata Paul. Sujata Paul, at the end of the day, perhaps this attempt backfired because the initial response was just to say, this was just inaugurated 3 months ago. This indicates that the Congress party is just waiting to make a political point, score a political point, no matter any time anything goes wrong. And in this case, it backfired on you.
The point is that anything which goes wrong has to be pointed out. And if the Prime Minister inaugurated it just a few months back and this has come down, will it not be pointed out? So not only Delhi airport, in fact, even another airport, Jabalpur airport, which we saw yesterday, pictures of those were in the public domain, that also was inaugurated by the Prime Minister, came down. And there are so many places where question marks are being raised. However, There are some very interesting points about this 2009 justification. I just heard Harish Ji, and my question is directly to him. You are justifying something that Kharge ji said by saying that because he said it, that is why Amit Malviya put out this tweet about 2009. Is that so? Meaning, if Mr. Kharge ji says something, you have to come up and say something stupid. That's point number one. Point number two, Civil Aviation Minister, even in 2009, was Mr. Praful Patel. So, will you go after him, Mr. Harish Khurana? I want you to answer that. Now, third point, in 2023-2024, Delhi Airport saw 7.36 crore commuters, and the user fee collected was 1,000 crore rupees. Could that not have been used for maintenance? And maintenance is an ongoing process. So you cannot shirk responsibility by simply saying that, we are going to find out what has happened. You must always also look at why this has happened instead of just putting the blame on somebody else. Mrs. Sheila Dikshit was the chief minister of Delhi for so long. Did she do that? No, she never did that. Now, point number four, and my final point. If you're talking about the airport, that is one part. What about the houses and the area around that particular place where our ministers stay, our MPs stay? Isn't that supposed to be looked after by CPWD? So if CPWD looks after the maintenance of those houses and the water is causing this logging around the streets, do you think you could have done something about it? And yes, one more point. You know, you have, how many MPs do you have? All the MPs of Delhi are Bharatiya Janata Party MPs, and they were there earlier also. Could they not have got a budget to make sure that people of their area didn't have to suffer? Do you have any responsibility towards your people?
Can I respond now?
Very humbly, I want to ask you these questions, and I hope that you will give me an
Sujata
answer,
Paul,
Mr. Khurana.
a whole list of questions. Sujata Paul, a
10
whole
seconds,
list of questions
10
come in. I
seconds,
want
10
to go
seconds.
into other guests also, but Harish
10
Khurana,
seconds.
just respond to the point. Just respond to the
10
point
10
with
seconds.
Sujata Paul said. Please go on quickly, Mr.
Sujata ji
Khurana.
don't know about what the fact of Delhi is today. She was claiming that CPWD के अंडर में आती हैं roads. That's the reason all the member of parliament was drained today.
No.
She should know what the actual fact is.
No.
NDMC's exit area is being controlled by PWD and irrigation department. They were being choked. They were being choked. And the act today, as usual, Aam Aadmi Party is blaming whom?
Yes, we'll come
Today
to that,
they are
Harish
blaming
Khurana. We'll
God.
come to that.
They're
Our
blaming
AAP guest
God.
is
They're
also
blaming
there,
God.
hoping that he
No,
will not be.
Ritangshu, I was
Our
looking at
AAP
the
guest is also
houses.
there, hoping that he will not be subject to the same scrutiny. I have a specific list of questions for the Aam Aadmi Party representative here, which unfortunately today is Parvinder Singh Sethi. Parvinder Singh ji, 2 weeks ago, Shelly Oberoi, who is the mayor of Delhi, had come out and said that, हाँ, सारा desilting का काम हो गया है, stormwater drains have been cleared, Delhi is ready to deal with rainfall. 2 hours. 2 hours of pre-monsoon. The monsoons have not even hit Delhi yet. 2 hours is all that it took for the reality of Delhi under the Aam Aadmi Party government to come crumbling down. Now, who are you going to blame for this?
नहीं देखिए जो दिल्ली इज नॉट ए प्लांट सिटी, लेकिन जो इसका जो एमसीडी 1 साल पहले बीजेपी के पास थी, उसके बाद इसके अंदर बहुत सारा काम हुआ। जितने भी आपने पानी के मेरे को दिखाए हैं, मिंटो ब्रिज हर बार भर जाता है, वहां का ड्रेनेज सिस्टम जो है, जितने भी अंडरपास हैं वहां पे पानी भरा हुआ है, वहां पे ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है, बाकी सारी जगह पे काम हो रहा है। अभी खुराना जी कह रहे थे कि जो वहां एयरपोर्ट पे वो गिरा उनको बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। अरे गुजरात के अंदर 300 मोरबी पुल गिर जाता है, उसके ऊपर इन्होंने कितने लोगों को इन्होंने सजा दे दी, इन्होंने एक भी व्यक्ति को सजा नहीं दी। अरे दिल्ली के अंदर अगर आम आदमी पार्टी का राज है, उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, तो सेंट्रल सरकार की भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है। जो एनडीएमसी एरिया है उसके अंदर प्रॉब्लम आ रही है।
अरे पहले आप आम आदमी पार्टी का तो बताइए परविंदर सिंह जी।
प्रगति मैदान का अंडरपास
परविंदर सिंह जी पहले आम आदमी पार्टी का बताइए। एयरपोर्ट के ऊपर अब
मैं उसी का बता रहा हूं। मैं
एयरपोर्ट की बात छोड़िए, आप बताइए पूरे दिल्ली में आज जो हुआ है हालत, उसकी जिम्मेवारी कौन लेगा? 1 साल से तो एमसीडी आपके पास है ना। पहले आपने बोला कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट आपके पास नहीं है, वो 10 साल से। फिर आपने बोला एमसीडी आपके पास नहीं है, वो भी 1 साल से है। अब और क्या चाहिए आपको?
सर 1 साल में बहुत काम हुआ है, लेकिन दिल्ली इज नॉट ए प्लांट सिटी। वहां पे बाकी सारी जगहों पे काम चल रहा है। जो ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है, जितने जितने नाले लगते हैं, 700
सर
नाले
आप
लगते
क्या
हैं,
बोल रहे हो?
वहां पे
दिल्ली इज नॉट
सारा
अ प्लांट
सिस्टम
सिटी।
बनाया
आपको
जा रहा है,
पता है,
ड्रेनेज सिस्टम बनाया जा रहा है, सीवेज
आपको
सिस्टम
पता है
बनाया जा
सर,
रहा है।
I'll ask if we can play out those visuals which Manish Tewari and
हैं?
Shashi Tharoor have tweeted. आपको ये प्लांट सिटी में, ये आउटस्कर्ट्स में नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, जमुना पार की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, लटियंस दिल्ली। अब आप बोलोगे लटियंस दिल्ली भी प्लांट सिटी नहीं है सर? कुछ तो देख, मतलब क्या बोल रहे हो सर आप?
अरे ल्यूटेन जोन की बात, कुछ कुछ एरिया है सर, ल्यूटेन जोन को छोड़ दीजिए आप, उसके अलावा दिल्ली को देखिए आप। तो उसके उसके अलावा की बात कर रहा हूं मैं। जो जहां पे आप पानी भरा हुआ दिखा रहे हैं वो सारे अंडरपास हैं। अंडरपास के अंदर पानी एकदम भर जाता है जब हैवी रेनफॉल होती है, और जो
सर
पानी की
आपके
निकासी
सामने
होने में कुछ समय लगता
रामगोपाल
है,
यादव
कुछ समय
सांसद
बाद
जी
वो
है,
पानी सारा
आपके सामने
निकल जाता
रामगोपाल
है।
यादव सांसद जी है, उनको कंधे पर उठाकर लिया जा रहा है क्योंकि पानी इतना है। वो अलग बात है कि वो इतने अपने आप को इतने बड़े समझते हैं कि उनको उठाकर ले जाना पड़ता है, पानी के थ्रू जाना नहीं चाहते। बट बड़े बड़े सांसदों के घर के बाहर पानी जमी है सर। ये
सर ये
अंडरपास की
पॉलिटिशियंस की
बात नहीं है,
ड्रामेबाजी है।
एम्स फ्लाईओवर पर पानी जमा है, सुप्रीम
नहीं
कोर्ट के बाहर
देखिए
फ्लाईओवर जमा है, निजामुद्दीन में
नहीं नहीं
पानी जमा है। आप क्या बोल रहे हो
नहीं,
सर कि बस अंडरपास में पानी जमा हुआ है?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। मैं ये कह रहा हूं ज्यादा पानी अंडरपास में भरा है। बाकी जगहों पे भी जब हैवी रेनफॉल होती है, वहां पे एक ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है,
परविंदर
उस
सिंह जी,
ड्रेनेज से पानी को
ओके
निकलने में
परविंदर
कुछ
सिंह जी,
समय लगता है। और
आपसे बने
पूरी
रहिए, हम
दिल्ली
मैं
को
आपके
पूरी
पास
तरह
आने
से।
वाला हूं। मैंने Manish, I mentioned Manish Tewari earlier. Manish Tewari today, Congress MP, also put out visuals of him wading through water with knee-deep water rolling up his trousers. Manish Tewari, senior Congress leader and MP, is also joining me on this broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking to Mirror Now. We have a representative, someone who supports the Aam Aadmi Party, saying that what happened today in terms of waterlogging in the national capital was limited to the old trouble spots such as Minto Bridge and the flyovers. Is that the reality which you experienced, sir?
Look, I think we are missing the wood for the trees again. The fact is that when you have a disproportionate amount of water coming down, that is, you have a very dense bout of rainfall in a very short span of time, the fact remains that really equipped to handle it. And this is the reality of climate change. And we've seen this occurring repeatedly, not only in India, but in various. So what happened in Delhi today was exactly similar to what had happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when in a concentrated spell of time, you had a very heavy deluge. And obviously the systems in the city, because the drainage system, the sewage system date back many decades, they are ill-equipped to handle it. So rather than get into a he said, she said, that he is to blame or X is blame or Y is to blame, I think the more important thing that we need to pay attention is that A, climate change is a reality. Such unnatural events occur with more frequency, and we need to be better prepared and better equipped to handle it.
Mr. Tiwari, you have spoken like a man of your wisdom should be, and you have hit the nail on the head that it is, of course, at the end of climate change, not just the rains and the intensity which we are seeing today, but the heat wave which Delhi was going through for the last 2 months, the pollution which Delhi has to go through. These are all these are all cases and also impacts of climate change. But my question is, sir, as a viewer, and as a common person, can we really expect a political class to have the maturity to discuss climate change when the political class can't even get down to look at dealing with basic civic infrastructures, like at least ensuring that drainage facilities are functional, or at least airport canopies don't come crashing down over our heads?
Well, see, there you've actually bundled three questions into one, and so let me desegregate it and deal with it one by one. Insofar as the political class and its ability or inability to deal with issues is concerned, I recall that in the November of 2019, I had personally initiated and led a discussion in the Lok Sabha on the impact of air pollution on the residents of Delhi, because Punjab more than often gets blamed for no rhyme or reason because of the stubble burning which takes place, which really doesn't take into account that Delhi is already at the cutting edge or at the tipping point, of an environmental catastrophe.
Okay.
So anything which gets added to the pollution load tips it. Insofar as developing or modernizing the infrastructure of Delhi is concerned, that's inter-sea between the government of India, which handles certain areas in Delhi, and the Delhi government, which handles certain other areas, and the municipal corporation of Delhi, to be really able to sort it out. And number three, I think it has not only happened in Delhi. You saw the same thing happen in 22 in Bangalore. We've seen it happen in other places around the world. And it's high time that civic authorities and policy makers wake up to this reality that in future you will see more of these events occurring. And insofar as the collapse of T1 is concerned, or the canopy of T1 is concerned, that's most unfortunate. And this should be investigated. People have unnecessarily died. People have been injured.
All right.
And there should be a thorough, comprehensive investigation as to how this happened.
All right. Manish Tewari, sir, thank you so much for speaking to Mirror Now. We appreciate you taking your time out. Of course, those visuals which we are running at this point were tweeted out by Mr. Manish Tewari earlier today as to how he had to commute to work. Some could draw a contrast between how Mr. Ram Gopal Yadav went to work, but that's another story as well. Umesh Sehgal has been waiting very patiently for us. He's the former Chief Secretary of Delhi. Sir, thank you for speaking to Mirror Now. Thank you for staying on with us. A simple question, sir. The statement which came in from an Aam Aadmi Party supporter is that Delhi is an unplanned city. To an extent, would you agree that is the case, at least in terms of expansion and rapid construction in the last few years? Delhi is no longer a planned city. It's a very haphazard city, which is why every time something like this happens, we are left exposed to nature's fury.
No, I won't say Delhi is an unplanned city. Delhi has a plan. It has a master plan. Whatever is planning, it goes on in Delhi. But the tragedy here is that all unauthorized constructions, unauthorized colonies are, by parliament law, they are regularized. So no action is taken against them. Now, I tell you, the basic problem in Delhi is that we are far above our carrying capacity. Our carrying capacity was worked out some time back at 1.9 or 2 crores. We are now more than 3 crores, 50% more than our carrying capacity. 50% more people have to be catered to land which is just available for 2 crore people, for water which is available for 2 crore people, XYZ. Now here, the drainage system, let's talk of yesterday's, today's rainfall. This problem is basically the problem of drainage. And this problem of drainage, the whole concept, in my view, is outdated. The concept is that all drains should go into the Yamuna and should float out into the river. This is the ancient traditional method of drainage. I won't dispute that. But for cities like Delhi, where we are already above the carrying capacity, we have to find out other solutions. Now, one of these solutions is that much of this water should be taken into the ground and should be stored there. That will again help us during the lean season for getting water supply. Nothing has been done on that. There were a few lakes have been this thing, and water tables have gone up. This government had done a small experiment on the Jamna. When floods came, they said we'll take it into the groundwater and see what happens. One has not heard of it again. Here, we need now technological solutions like Israel has done. Israel is far above its carrying capacity. It's a desert, and see what it has done.
Mr.
All
Sehgal,
this technology.
Mr.
And
Sehgal,
technology
what
is
has stood
available
out
in
in
India.
today's has stood out in today's deluge has been that areas of Delhi which were supposed to be well built, well planned, and areas which had never showed this amount of waterlogging and its amount of chaos before, such as mostly in South Delhi and in Central, in Lutyens Delhi especially. Now, one would assume that Lutyens Delhi traditionally has been well constructed, has enough drainage facilities here. Why are we seeing these things happen in otherwise posh areas, otherwise well constructed, urban, well planned areas?
Please appreciate that these areas are far, South Delhi and Lutyens Delhi are far away from the Yamuna. And what we are doing is, we are trying to drain all the water from here into the Yamuna. And when these stormwater drains get overfilled, which has happened around where I am staying now in Panchil Park, and half of our area was totally submerged in water. And this is supposed to be a posh colony. And but the reason is that the water just doesn't flow out. If it can't flow out into the river, why don't we flow it down into the ground? We have where our groundwater is very low.
Fair enough.
And we can do that. They only need new technology. You have CSIR labs, you have the IITs. Have we done anything on that regard? And this free ship business has to stop. 5,000 crores being spent every year as subsidies. This has to be spent on capital expenditure. We must now get a technological report. It's going to cost money. We'll need money, and 6,000 crores may not be enough. I remember Mrs. Sheila Dikshit wanted to privatize the water supply. They privatized electricity. They say electricity is no problem in Delhi now. And she wanted to do this. And I think some step has been taken, but nothing has been done beyond that. So if the government cannot do it, doesn't have the capacity to do it, please call the private sector in. Please call the technological research bodies in. Let them find technological solutions. If Israel can find a solution with no water,
I agree with you.
Why can't we do that? I'm sure we can do that. I myself an IIT engineer, I assure you it can be done. But we have to now apply.
It can be done. I'm sure, Mr. Sehgal, it can be done. I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there, but I'm sure it can be done. What it lacks is intent. Both you and what Mr. Manish Tewari also pointed out, yes, that these are very important, mature ways to look at it. This is something which happens every year. Maybe it's some to a more greater extent, some to a lesser extent. You can argue about whether the collapse of the airport roof was something that was preventable or not. But what we're seeing in Delhi in every season, not just waterlogging during monsoons, the heat wave that we saw during summers, the smog we are going to see in 2 months from now, and the intense cold we are going to see after that. These are all effects of climate change. These are all effects of poor planning. These are all effects of environmental deforestation and denudation and bad lack of drainage facilities. The solutions do exist in front of us. Unfortunately, what is missing is intent. Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Umesh Sehgal, for joining us. Also, thank you, Parvinder Sethi, also Sujata Paul and Harish Khurana for joining us with your views. Our viewers, for those who are interested in a more in-depth understanding of what exactly can be done to get out of Delhi and its urban civic mess, do tune in at 10 p.m. to my colleague Sneha Koshi's debate, because she's going to do exactly what Mr. Umesh Sehgal was suggesting and probe further in that direction. But for now, it's time for a short break. On the other side, my colleague Shira Dhondel gets you this fantastic conversation with Rahul Bose on India's Climate Summit. Stay tuned.